Hi, this video is on the cerebrum and the ventricles of the brain. The cerebrum consists of two cerebral hemispheres that are connected by the corpus callosum, a bundle of axons. The surface of the brain is convoluted, and these convolutions are called gyri, which is plural for gyrus. There are smaller indentations called sulci, singular sulcus, and deeper indentations called fissures. You know the lobes of the brain already. They represent the bones of the skull above them, the frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes. There is a fifth lobe, the insula lobe, that is hidden within those four lobes. On the outer surface of the cerebrum is a very thin layer of gray matter called the cerebral cortex. It's about 4 to 6 millimeters thick, and it consists of the gray bodies, or the cell bodies. It's gray matter, which represents cell bodies. Beneath the cortex will be the white matter, which consists of myelinated axons. The cerebrum is important in our higher brain functions, sensory input, voluntary muscular movements, memory, and integration. The cortex, remember that thin outer layer, is divided into three main areas: motor, sensory, and association. That cerebral cortex is very important in memory, thought, consciousness, awareness, attention, language. And here is a picture of the different regions of the cerebral cortex, that thin outer layer. Here we have an indentation called the central sulcus. Here is a very deep indentation called the lateral sulcus. Between the two lobes would be a fissure, or between the two hemispheres would be a fissure. Now, of the cerebral cortex, we have the motor area, and we have the yellow sensory area, and then the rest would be association area. So here is an area, a visual area. Here is a sensory speech area. Here is Broca's speech area. So these different regions of the brain have different functions. Both hemispheres receive sensory input and send motor impulses to the opposite side, but most people have one hemisphere that is dominant, and 90% of people have left hemisphere dominance. The non-dominant hemisphere is important in nonverbal functions and emotions. Basal ganglia are masses of gray matter. Remember that gray matter represents cell bodies, and these basal ganglia produce a neurotransmitter that controls motor activities. This neurotransmitter is called dopamine. This is the neurotransmitter that is missing in people with Parkinson's disease. The ventricles of the brain are cavities within the brain. Remember, they are lined with ependymal cells, those neuroglia that produce cerebral spinal fluid. Here you can see the ventricles. This shows a 3D picture of the ventricles of the brain. And here is another picture that shows the different, the movement of the cerebral spinal fluid within the brain. It's, throughout the brain and through the spinal cord.